They sure work hard, don't they, Barney?
Yeah? I hate to see them work so hard.
Yeah, me too. Let's go around back where we can't see them.
Gee, we ought to do something, Fred.
Okay. How's about taking a nap?
I got a better idea. Let's take a Winston break.
That's it. Winston is the one filter cigarette that delivers flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend.
Yeah, Fred. Filter blend makes the big taste difference, and only Winston has it up front where it counts. Here, ahead of the pure white filter. Winston packs rich tobaccos specially selected and specially processed for good flavor in filter smoking.
Yeah, Barney, Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should.
Get started. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining in on this month's podcast. It's the month of November, so this month we're going to be talking about tobacco issues. It is National Tobacco Month. We're going to be talking about youth and smoking and vaping, electronic cigarettes, and also spit tobacco. And so I have with me today Mr. Jason Lindell. He is our CPS here at ASAP. Go ahead and tell him just a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jason Lindell. I'm the prevention coordinator at the Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention in Oxford. I've been here 8 years. Enjoyed the actual education aspect of what we do, just getting the knowledge out on different types of substance abuse issues in not only the city but the county and nationwide as well.
Cool beans. So we're glad to have you here, and thank you so much for joining us today. So I guess I just wanted to start off with talking about some of the dangers of smoking and exactly what is in cigarettes, like what attracts people to even want to smoke and what keeps them smoking.
Well, when I first started just the education probably 8 or 9 years ago, when we would go into middle schools and high schools, cigarettes was probably one of the top things that kids would abuse, cigarettes and alcohol. But tobacco, I think there comes a curiosity to why kids smoke. They might have a family member that they live with or know it's easy to get their hands on. So I think that big curiosity was one of them. And also, if you smoke one cigarette, a lot of times you don't see those instant ramifications or instant issues. So, as kids, sometimes the curiosity gets to them. And what we try to tell them is there's statistics that I believe 10% of kids or middle schoolers and high schoolers become addicted after one single cigarette. 80% show signs of addiction after one pack. So it doesn't take much for that addiction to start real early.
Yeah, what's the youngest that you've ever seen?
Eight, 9, 10 have tried.
Goodness.
Early, because they can go, steal 1 or 2, and grandma or mom or dad don't even realize it's there.
Wow, I didn't know that. And I know when I was growing up, we had kids that was more into the chewing tobacco. I grew up in a trailer park in Jacksonville, so all the kids that I was around was doing the spit tobacco. And then once we got into maybe 7th or 8th grade, then they started smoking cigarettes. But I didn't know 8 years old. That's insane.
Well, it's whether you smoke it, whether you dip it. The chemical in tobacco that makes it addictive
is the nicotine.
Yes,
100%. Absolutely. And that's dangerous within itself. Even the smallest amounts, how much is the percentage that it just takes for, it's just a small amount, maybe 10% or so that it takes for you to just become hooked.
And we're all different. As I tell my middle schoolers, all our bodies were different. So things might affect you differently than might affect me. So it's one of those things where don't start, then you don't have to stop, because nicotine is one of the most addictive chemicals out there, period. The CDC and all that, they rank it up there as addictive as heroin and cocaine and all that kind of stuff. So once you get hooked, it's hard to get off, because that nicotine goes straight to your brain, releases that chemical dopamine, that feel-good chemical, and we all like to feel good. So it's one of those things that don't start, because and I also don't think that kids think it's a drug when you can get it at a gas station, when you can get it at a grocery store, when they see people out. So But back in 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, I mean, everybody smoked.
Yeah.
We also didn't know the long-term ramifications
exactly.
of it. And as I tell my middle schoolers, well, the Native Americans smoked. But yeah, but that tobacco and today's tobacco,
completely different.
Yeah. Completely different. So, we try to just educate on the things that are in tobacco, the short-term, long-term effects of tobacco.
Yeah.
That we don't realize or think about.
Yeah, and even with them being that young, like their brains are still developing, so it becomes a psychological issue as well. Like the short term could be just like that feeling, that good feeling, but then long term they're gonna start having respiratory issues and start smoking more than just that pack a day. They might go up to the 2 packs a day, and there's all kinds of things, I think, like anxiety and weight loss and all kinds of like long-term effects that are attributed to smoking.
Well, some of the short-term effects, I mean, that people usually get, the shortness of breath, the yellowing of the teeth. The kids, we've got an illustration that they call hairy tongue. Now, it's not like hair like this, but it's like a peach fuzz that you see on
and the
your
bad
tongue.
breath.
Bad breath's a big one. Bad breath. Wrinkled skin, things of that nature. And unfortunately, all that's the harmful effects are happening on the inside.
Yeah.
A lot of those are some of the things we can see on the outside, but most of the damage is obviously happened on the inside.
And also, like, a lot of people don't realize too, it can also affect others. Like secondhand smoke, like say you're smoking and I'm right beside you, I can be just as affected. Like my clothes are gonna smell bad, my health could be affected. Like they don't realize the dangers of that as well.
Yeah, they think holding it out the car window with their kids in the back is actually doing any good.
And it's not.
I remember going on to friends' houses when I was a kid, and you could move like a picture on the wall, and you could, their parents smoked.
Yeah.
And you could see like the different coloration next to the wall and behind where it was.
Yes.
At the time, I was like, okay, I didn't really grasp it, but I was like, that's tar.
Yeah.
Like that's this sticky stuff that accrues in your lungs or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
imagine that like inside of you, like.
Yeah, like who? I think a quart of this is. I mean.
That's so gross.
Just that's why it builds up, and that's why you hear people that smoke. They have those deep, dark coughs because they're trying to get it up and the things of that nature. Fast forward to 2020, a lot of the tobacco it's not as prevalent. Times have changed. A lot of times, you mentioned, I guess, the chewing tobacco. A lot of my more rural areas, when we talk tobacco, they don't even think cigarettes anymore.
Yeah.
They think chewing tobacco, spit tobacco, and that's still a big issue for young kids.
Yeah.
I mean, 7th, 8th grade that are already chewing and dipping and comparing brands and all that kind of stuff. So that's a whole nother way to do it.
Yeah, and even when I was in high school, that was an issue too. Like, I had one classmate, she dipped a lot and she ended up with a hole. Yeah, she ended up with a hole, like, in the front of her gum. Like, she had to have surgery. It was awful. And, like, for her to have to lose, like, teeth and stuff at such a young age. We were only, like, 17, I think. So, like, it just kind of, like, bugged me. I'm just like, that really made me sad for her. Because I'm just like, I guess she didn't realize what she was doing would cause her to lose a part of her gum.
Well, I mean, the chemicals that are in that one little, hundreds of different chemicals that are just like in tobacco, but I mean, a lot of times when you put it in your cheek and your gum and it just sits there, I mean, the nicotine and the chemicals, they don't have very far to go to the brain when you start altering the brain. And I know quite a few people that they thought chewing tobacco was safer alternative to smoking.
Yep.
You know, you just sit it there, it's not doing any problems. I'm not lighting anything.
Yeah.
Not secondhand smoke. But it does way more damage in the mouth because we all know we've heard of long-term issues that tobacco have. Different types of cancers. I mean, lung cancer, throat cancer, pancreas. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
Well, I know 2 ways to get rid of cancer. You have to have chemotherapy or radiation to try to get it, or you have to have surgery to physically remove it. Kind of like the girl that you said. I mean, when you start removing anything around the lips, the tongue, the jaw, the things of that nature, that's a very important area.
Yeah, it's intense.
And once it's gone, they can't replace it.
Yeah.
So the chewing tobacco is actually way worse cancer-wise. I believe. I think the mortality rate was 80%. Like 8 out of 10 people who get mouth cancer pass away because of it.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's a very, very high number that most people are not aware of.
Yeah.
Most people are not aware of.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And that's why I'm glad like we're able to have this discussion, because I'm hoping somebody out there watches this video and is like, maybe I should, stop. And I had a family member that was, smoked and dipped for like a very long time. And thankfully it took them a long time. It took them a few times to quit, because the first time they quit, I think they quit for like maybe 3 months. And then they smelt a cigarette one day and they were just like right back on it. So it took a few times. And now thankfully they haven't smoked like in a very long time. But it's just the struggle of seeing them have to like get rid of that and detox. It's kind of like you go through withdrawals, like seeing like her like literally have shakes. She like I want a cigarette. Like I was like, that kind of tripped me out, because I didn't think it was going to be that crazy.
No, you once you start changing your body and your brain, and then all of a sudden that substance is not there anymore.
Yeah.
It's because your body's now depending on it, and all of a sudden you take it away. Yes, your body kind of revolts into a small. I've seen people do that, but it's with caffeine, with tobacco, and it's one of those that it takes. I've known people 4, 5, 6 times to get off tobacco. It's one of the nicotine again is one of the hardest substances to quit.
Yeah.
I've seen people be able to kick other the harder drugs.
Yeah.
But they can't kick their cigarettes. They can't kick the dip or whatever. So for whatever reason.
Yeah. And I've even seen people that are like hooked to oxygen machines that still smoke, like that have cancer, that know that they're sick, but they still smoke. I don't understand it, but I mean, I guess.
Power of addiction.
Yeah.
And the power of addiction is very strong.
Very.
When I deal with my middle schoolers, I use the illustration of fishing. We've all been fishing, whether you wanted to go or not.
Yeah.
We've all been fishing, but I ask the kids, or my middle schoolers or high schoolers, if you've ever been fishing, have you ever been hooked by a lure? Have you ever just been sitting there fishing with a buddy and you're minding your own business and yank, you get stuck with a lure? I have. I caught one in the forearm many years ago. And my question to them is, let me ask you, does it hurt worse going in, or does it hurt worse coming out? Now, don't get me wrong, it hurts going in, but by goodness, it really hurts coming out.
Yeah.
That barb gets you, it's settled in.
Yeah.
And that's the way addiction is.
Yeah.
Whether it be tobacco or whether we're talking about vaping or any other things down the road, once you start to try to pull it out, it hurts. And nobody likes pain.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go through pain.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we'll start to quit, and it's uncomfortable, it makes us shake and all that, and we're like, no, it's just easier to keep doing the habit that we are.
Yeah, it's easier to maybe even keep it in there.
Oh yeah, mine was right on the first. I was prepared to wear it for the rest of my life. It hurt so bad. Yeah, no, I was fully prepared to do that.
Yeah. So speaking of vaping, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I know the numbers for vaping have gone up. Like I know at least how many teens have at least tried it. Like
in the last. A few years ago, I mean, the numbers were up to 70-80% had tried it within the last 30 days, and that's been a trend over the last 6, 7, 8 years, where e-cigarettes they slowly started to come out. You'd see the pencil ones, the disposable ones, then you start to see those big mods, the big boxes with the tubes, and but they've progressed even more to the jewels and the things of that nature. And a lot of times middle schoolers, high schoolers, and even adults, we're not educated. We don't know what's in it, because the vaping industry still used to run in that gray area.
Yeah.
They don't have to tell you what's in it or be very truthful about their product. But a lot of my middle schoolers and high schoolers literally just thought it's water vapor.
Yeah. And they thought it was safer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not lighting anything. It's just flavored water, and having those discussions with them over time has been a little eye-opening. Because how would they get it? Well, they could get it from a gas station fairly easy.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you have someone that's not checking ID.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or take it from mom and dad. Older kids buy them and sell them to younger kids.
Yeah, social media.
Social media is a big one as well. The scary part is with the vaping is we're not sure the long-term effects and damage that will happen. As I tell them with tobacco, back when our grandparents were alive, I mean, if you watch old clips of movies and late night talk shows, everybody was smoking because that was the thing to do. Yeah. Now, if you fast forward 20, 30, 40 years and see where those individuals are that smoked, we know the long-term health effects. Yeah. Vaping, we don't. We know some of the short-term, but we don't know what happens if you vape for that long yet. So if you want to be the guinea pig, that's your decision.
Yeah, that's
Not me,
true.
I'm too big of a chicken.
Yeah, and then some of those vapes too, from what I've seen, like I used to work at a few gas stations when I was in college. Some of them have very high contents of nicotine in it too, percentages, and I don't think a lot of youth realize that they think they're just, the flavor, the cool smoke and the smell, but they don't realize that there's nicotine in there, and that's why they're addicted. That's why they can't seem to stop smoking the vapes.
Yeah, when a few years ago we were trying to educate ourselves on the vaping. If you were to Google or YouTube vaping, most of the times you would get people trying to sell you vapes or accessories or YouTube. I mean, you get kids who are doing the smoke tricks, and it wasn't, hey, this is dangerous. It was, look how fun it can be and cool. And kids buy things with their eyes. Yeah.
Even now, I was on YouTube and I watch like a lot of like murder mystery type stuff, and they'll be sponsoring oil infused vapes, like these I guess, what do you call them, like the lavender, they're like essential oils type things that you can like vape, and they're supposed to be like just essential oils, so it's like safer, doesn't have like nicotine or whatever else, so it's like different. And then you have like the CBD that they're trying to like sell, and kids don't really know much about that either. And then you can even, from what I saw, go and buy like the vaporized THC off of like Snapchat, YouTube. People are getting sponsored to sell like theirs. Like, it's so accessible. I didn't realize that, and I just discovered that these past couple weeks how easy it is.
THC pods, you can say getting the nicotine pods, you can find THC pods and stick it right in your jewel, your vape, and then you're vaporizing a pure form of marijuana. Yeah. More so than anything else. So be educated, be smart. Yeah. You're probably not going to know what's in it. I do know that my lungs were designed to breathe in oxygen, not vapor. Yeah. I mean, your lungs can only exhale so much vapor, and if you get too much vapor or liquid in your lungs, that's what causes pneumonia. Last time I checked.
Oh, yes, you're so right.
So right there, that's just, for me, as simple as I can make it, not only for myself, but for my middle schoolers as well. But don't put anything in your body you won't be afraid to do in front of your parents.
Just like that saying, like, you are what you eat. Like, you are what you smoke. That's eventually going to come to the surface, just like, what you eat eventually comes to the surface as well. Yep. So yeah, that's a very good point to make. Well, thank you. I think that's all that we have time for today. I think we covered everything. This was very educational, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
You're very knowledgeable, and this was very informative. And I really hope that there's somebody out there that watches this video and takes some time to think about what they're doing and, stop smoking, or find, ways to reach out to someone to stop smoking, whether it be cigarettes, vaping, dip, or whatever. Just know that it's all addictive, and you should stop, basically. So, and that also brings me back to the Hope campaign that ASAP is continuously doing. Hold On, Pain Ends. If you know someone out there that is struggling with tobacco addiction or any addiction at all, please reach out to us at 256-831-4436 so we can get you some resources and some outreach information. Or you can visit our website at www.asaprev.com. Thank you.